The Negro Ego, Part 1. Now, do I sense a question? I think I do. Many brothers who are new to my channel are probably wondering, isn't this channel only talking about gender issues? This channel is 95% gender issues where everybody partake. 5% go towards politics, economics, and especially racial conversations. You're a content creator on this channel. Myself, Mr. Lemba, is a black man, so I must talk about other things that affect myself and people who look like I do. So, with that said, if this is not for you, you already know the routine, and if you don't, this is what you do. You just click off this video and I will catch you on the next one, as my next video will be pure red pill content. For those of you who are uneasy, as I know many men are still developing their masculinity and they're uneasy whenever something doesn't go their way, they get very emotional about it, including some black brothers who say, why is there a need to add this segment in this fight? Well, since you ask, let me answer this question for you, because I know the question is in many people's minds. First off, I refuse to be the black feminist. Who is the black feminist? The black feminist is the black woman who joined the fight with the white women, and they became the feminists, and they fought against their own men. They destroyed their own people and subsequently destroyed their own children. I refuse to become that. I'm not going to join a gender fight and forget completely about the racial fight that is going on. There will not be me. It will never be me. I hope that is understood. If it's not, there's nothing I can do for you. Without further ado, let us continue. Before we get into this, let us take a look at these three amazing content creators that are on YouTube. And I want you brothers to see my first comment that is pinned to the top of the comment section. You will see 3 links to their channels. Please go there and subscribe and hit their bell icons to get notifications of when they drop videos, especially if you are black. Now, this brother here, he requested this video that I'm making here, especially when he heard that I mentioned that I would do it. Neck of the Woods Updated is a very intelligent brother. If I had to give him a different YouTube name, I would call him Red Pill Stroll. He takes you around town, he sits with you, he has a one-on-one talk, and it's more like that barbershop type of conversation when you get some good knowledge. A very intelligent brother, and he talks about many things regarding women, relationship, black people, family. Very good brother to follow. That is Neck of the Woods Updated. Shout out to you, my brother. The next brother is very intelligent brother. I mean, a magnificent mind. Kevin Kelly. And this is in no particular order, by the way, my brothers. Kevin Kelly is brilliant. He's been on YouTube dropping jewels. Just serious knowledge. Very strong-minded brother. So I want you guys to check out his channel and see what he brings, especially when you're talking about a lot of content that affects and that talks about things that affect the black community. I would call him an expert on YouTube. The brother that you see there and right below him, and again, this is not in any particular order, this brother is dear to my heart. He have humbled me, because I used to say that I'm one of the most mild-mannered brothers on YouTube, but this brother here is very humble, intelligent man, great content. He brings his heart. He opens his channel to everybody, all races, all groups, and you know, he talks about great topics. Just amazing to follow. He is Ibmor, One Man Army Against Racism, channel for Intel Ones. Please check him out. Now, this is titled The Negro Ego. The Negro Ego. What do I mean by this? Why does this need to be addressed in the Bill Cosby aftermath? Well, it's simple. In order to grow, the Negro ego has to go to all the so-called African diaspora, Afro-American, Haitian, Bahamian, Jamaican, etc. The only way we will grow is to eliminate the Negro ego. Now, this segment on my channel, this series, the Negro Ego, will be talking about some serious business. I will be bringing a lot of good material to you guys, my black brothers, when it comes to this particular segment. But I must warn you, it can be offensive to some. It can be rough. It can be cold, hard truth. It may bring criticisms that we are unwilling to hear. So I believe this quote by John Stuart Mill is suitable before I start the segment. He says, "Liberty lies in the rights of that person whose views you find most odious." In other words, I am that brother that will tell you things that you may not want to hear. But it is for the betterment of our people. It is for the progression of our people. It is for the betterment of myself and you. Yes, you, my brother. You're probably not used to hearing it. Another brother who doesn't get paid. Another brother who doesn't have anything coming in. No donations, nothing. But yet this brother just loves you. Yeah, I know. It's weird. As black people, we don't see it much. Regardless of where we're from. All of us who are part of the black diaspora. So, once again, liberty lies in the rights of that person whose views you find most odious, most repugnant, most repelling, disgusting. Yes, that person with that uncensored truth. But you guys do know I will keep my profanity out of it the best that I can, because I want you guys to be able to hear the message and not just sensationalism. And I also want you brothers to be able to sit with your young nephews and young sons and have them listen to thinking black men. Sit with their fathers, their uncles, their older cousins, and hear stuff that will propel our people forward without the string of profanity. Now, let us get into it. As you see up in the slide, this is the DC comic character, The Question. If you guys do not know, I believe he came out in one of the Batman detective comics way back in the days before most of our time, I believe. That's because there is a question that I want to ask. The question love to ask the question. The question is, after this Bill Cosby incident, we have talked about it. We have showed our viewpoints about it. We complained about it. We've done everything we can do verbally about it. But now physically, I pose you this question. What are you going to do? That is right, brothers. What are you going to do, brother? What are you going to do when gynocentrism and racism runs wild on you? What you gonna do? My point in this part one is I'm tired of just talking. And we all should be tired of talking. Our ancestors did a lot of talking. Some of them did the walking. But now walking and talking is not even enough. We need to do some of the spreading of our wings. We need to do some of the moving. In my video when I covered the Bill Cosby story as it broke out, and I gave my opinion, my thoughts, many brothers of all races, tribes, ethnicities, cultures, creeds showed very strong positive support for that video. As we knew deep down that something was wrong with the verdict that was given to the brother, the father figure Bill Cosby, once again, whether or not you like him. But something must be done. We must also ask ourselves, what are we going to do? And in order for us to move on as a people, as a black people, especially black men, a separate class of black men, we must eliminate the Negro ego. The Negro ego keeps us at each other's necks. We always hate our brothers. We have a hard time working with our brothers. We don't trust our brothers, and this goes for all of the African diaspora, the children of Israel, however you want to call them and name them. This goes for all of them. All of those who are the byproduct of the transatlantic slave trade. dropped off in Brazil, Jamaica, Haiti, Bahamas, Trinidad, Guyana, Canada, the United States of America, wherever. Black people have an ego issue. We must admit it. We cannot take criticism. We love to blame each other instead of looking at oneself. So I want us today to come together like I'm doing right now and look at ourselves. Let's blame ourselves. Let's check our ego. Even the older generation spend a lot of time blaming the ways of the younger generation. And do not get me wrong, the younger generation deserves a lot of criticism. But what the older generation failed to understand in their strong Negro ego minds is that the younger generation did not raise themselves. And it is more than just the single black mothers and them joining the feminist movement. Yes, they are a huge part of the blame, but it is more than that. I hear a lot of the older generation men telling the young guys who are on mgtow and the young guys who are on Ibmor, you guys keep complaining. The question is, what are you going to do? Well, let me ask you, what did you do? Apparently, we inherited this situation, the younger generation. And I'm not blaming any particular generation, but we inherited this. We did not create this. We were born into this. And at least we are entertaining ideas of doing something else. Yes, I understand you survived the hardship, but you didn't fix it for the future generation. What this generation is talking about is, especially from myself, is extending my arm to you, the older generation, as I am a millennial, and telling you, work with us, stop complaining and downing us, because we're trying to make moves. But we can't do it with your Negro ego so high. We can't do it with the younger generation's Negro ego being so high. We cannot do it with people going, I am Haitian, I am Jamaican, I am African American, and I don't mess with the African Americans, I don't mess with the Haitians, I don't mess with the... No, we can't do that. We will not make it alone. The Negro ego has to go. In order to do that, we must also create, I believe, a separate group of black men. A separate group of black men who are about reform. Shout out to Ibmor. But it doesn't have to remain simply within the bounding boxes of Ibmor, even though there are brothers way more qualified to talk about Ibmor than I am. Brothers such as the Honorable Artegon Forrest, Last Crucible, Black Ram 313, Black Ram for Vengeance, BGS Ibmor, and many others. Now, let us quickly define ego. Egotism is the drive to maintain and enhance favorable views of oneself, and generally features an inflated opinion of one's personal features and importance. It often includes intellectual, physical, social, and other overestimations. Now, we see this within the individual Negro, and by Negro, I don't mean a bad word, just so you guys understand. Sometimes the word is used when someone is being rude, but they're trying to pretend they're being polite. I mean Negro as the honorable Negro people. This overinflated self-importance is not just the individual. It goes to certain groups where people go, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm from this country, and we're better than this person. Or I'm from America, they're starving and poor over there. Look at that, as if you're not poor over here. Black people will look down on their fellow brothers just because they have an extra cup in their home that the other brother is lacking. Because they have an extra subscriber, an extra donation, a hotter car, a thicker red bone. We are always looking to elevate ourselves on top of our brothers by trying to climb the ladder of white supremacy, the hierarchy of white supremacy. And I don't mean every white person. I am talking literally of the racism, the mindset that is trying to keep us down. and how we adopt it and push each other down, pull each other down in order to get on top. The crab in the barrel mentality, some call it. We need to make a move. We need to stop just talking and doing nothing. We have one major advantage. From being scattered, we have picked up different languages. For the black brother who's willing to work with us in Brazil, we have a brother who can speak Portuguese. For the brother in Haiti, we have a brother who can speak French, Spanish, and Creole. Now, a little bit less Spanish. But for the brother who has been scattered amongst the Spanish countries of South America, who is black, you have a brother who can speak Spanish. Hopefully those who do not say they're not black, they're just Hispanic, which doesn't make any sense. Because we're not talking ethnic group, we are talking the so-called race. Assuming it is not just a social construct, as some say, but we understand how it is used and how the term and the grouping affects us. This segment, this part 1, will be light. And hopefully you're not offended yet, because if you're offended now, you don't stand a chance going into part 2 and beyond, as I will spread them out throughout time, throughout this channel. We talked about in my last video regarding Bill Cosby moving, leaving, going elsewhere. Will we actually do it? Now, I have, right? I have bought property elsewhere. I have built homes in different countries. But will you? See, I'm not comfortable being successful on my own. I don't know if I'm wrong for saying this. Correct me if I am. I'm not comfortable doing good by myself. No. Good is good. Yeah, I'm successful. I'm still improving. That's fantastic. Once I'm done with this video, I'm going to work on my grind. But is it wrong that I want you guys to do better too? Is it wrong that I want more money in your pocket? Is my Negro ego too low? Should I have a higher Negro ego? Should I have more of a crab in the barrels mentality? Should I try to pull you down? Am I wrong for wanting you to live better? Am I wrong for wanting you to have more money in your pocket, for wanting you to be able to have access to countries where racism is not an issue for you? Am I wrong to want you guys to have virgin women coming into your lives instead of these ratchet, loose individual women that we see out here, black and others? Am I wrong for that? Am I asking for too much? Am I saying too much by saying that we should have better and we should start doing better today, not tomorrow? Can we put our Negro ego to the side and move forward? Is that too much to ask? We need to create that group of black men who can take criticism. Yes, I know there's many educated black men. We see them on YouTube. We see many intelligent black men who may not even have degrees, but they're still educated. You don't need a paper that allows you to move up in the hierarchy of white supremacy in order to be intelligent, in order to be a man of wisdom, a sage, even a philosopher, an intellectual, bringing different things to the table. We see these men right here on YouTube, but a lot of them are still damaged men because they are still reflecting the single black mothers which they criticize. They are easily offended. So we need to bring a class of men who are willing to respect each other, men who will not come at each other sideways. An example, for those who follow my channel and came back to my channel under a different YouTube name because they got blocked, they know it's because they came sideways. A lot of brothers do not understand how to disagree like men. If you come and you say, Mr. Lemba, I disagree with you, brother. I think this is the way we should do things, and I don't think what you're saying will work because of such and such and such reasons. We may start a dialogue. Bring some facts, bring some research. We may be able to build something here. But if you come at me and say, you stupid Negro, I don't know what you mother effing think is going on, I'm going to just block you first and then delete your comment. And you'll have no way of returning unless you just come under a different name. Reason why I do not tolerate hood, ratchet, ghetto stupidity. I lived in the hood for years. There's nothing about the hood I love. The hood threatened my life. The hood was dangerous. I had to sleep on the floor because grown men did not know how to pop firecrackers. Instead, they shot out every street light there was. Bullets came through my window and through my walls. I had to learn to speak in slang and ebonics and do all the hood type of behaviors in order to survive and not get jumped. I had to hide my school books because you get a butt whooping because you studying. You see? So no, I did not like the hood. I don't like the idea of not snitching even though somebody killed your cousin. Somebody killed your auntie. Somebody shot your mother, but you ain't snitching. What kind of code is that? All we are doing is breeding negativity, and we need to separate from the class of men who imitate hood and men who imitate the behaviors of these single black women. So we need to create a class of men who are willing to talk and be respectful to each other and understand that even if you work at McDonald's, you are a powerful brother, because I am talking about a collective thing here. You see, part of the Negro ego is to look down on everyone around him, thinking that he is better than everyone else, and in some cases she also. But since I'm not talking to the black woman here, but to the black men, the Negro ego always thinks he's better than the next person. He will not work with the person who's on the same level as him. No. He will try to get to the person who's higher than him, which is cool. There could be good networking. But here's the issue. Whenever you aim for people who are higher than you, you become the person lower than everyone else in that exact environment. And they may not have your best interests at heart. You see, you think they're going to make you a fellow pimp, but no. They're going to pimp you. Now, the Negro ego does not think this way because he has that inflated personality where he thinks he is the ish, will not respect his brother. He cannot take criticism. If he comes across criticism, he quickly gets angry, get in his feelings, cannot work with you. The Negro ego is always willing and ready to destroy everything that you say. A problem could be going on in a cyclical manner, in circles, over and over again in the black community. But the minute one black man stands up and brings a solution, 50 million will stand up and try to tear his idea down without even providing a new one. I told you guys this might be a bit harsh, and honestly, this is mild because this is only part one. In order to become better people, we cannot keep ignoring the stupidity that we see amongst our people. You see, we're not going to save all of our people. No. We're only going to march on and forward with the ones that wishes to move forward. We're not going to save every brother. Now, speaking of collectivity and working together in a collective mindset rather than just individualism and the individual way of thinking as if we are the only man on the planet, I want you guys to think about the idea of unity. Now, you guys know I'm very fond of the Haitian people, and one thing that is on their flag is it says in French, l'union fait la force. It's very similar to the American United We Stand. It says that union makes force, or union makes power. And they realized the only way they were able to defeat the French, the Spaniards, and the British, I mean, those people were able to do some miraculous things. We're talking about the most powerful navy at the time, the most powerful military at the time, army at the time, and a lot of political powers. I mean, the island at one point was surrounded by 82,000 battleships, and those people were still able to come out victorious after a 13-year war. So they understood the only way they were able to do that was because they were working together. Unfortunately, when black people are not facing complete annihilation, they just go right back to fighting each other once that was over. And that's the same thing we do in the States here. We see it amongst the Jamaican political leaders. We see it amongst the people. We see it with the Bahamians. There is very little unity amongst our people. Now, when you say this,
Many of the old school black folks love to say, well, it's not uncommon for people to fight amongst their own people. Yeah, true, it is not uncommon. You find that the European men fight amongst themselves too. But here's the thing. They still know how to unite in order to dominate the rest of the world. We don't get that. You see, I'm not even preaching dominating the rest of the world. I'm talking about, can we unite, come together, the collective mindset, in order to elevate our people. We're talking about traveling. We're talking about other countries. And I'm talking about, I am tired of just talking. I am saying that men are practical creatures. I am saying that men do things that work and men stop doing things that don't work. And what men don't do is just talk without getting anything done. So the question is, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? What are we going to do? Am I just going to be a man going my own way? Am I just going to be an introspective black man of reform, but put nothing in motion in order to bring such reform into fruition? Absolutely not. In order to grow, my brothers, the Negro ego has to go. To all the so-called African diaspora, Afro-American, Haitian, Bahamian, Jamaican, etc., the only way we will grow is to eliminate the Negro ego. The issue is, we don't work together, we don't love each other, we don't trust each other. Now, this brings something to mind. Let me discuss this with you guys real quick.
Okay, here we go. This brother right here, Dr. Umar Johnson. He wanted to open a Frederick Douglass International Academy, Pan-Africanism. You guys remember him. But I'm not going to go into whether or not people think he is a con man, whether or not people think he is a legitimate brother who is trying to help out his community. I'm not going to get into whether or not you think he's a scam artist or he's a liar or he slept with a prostitute, because we know as black people we have the Negro ego. We've been talking about the Negro ego. That is the subject of the video, is the Negro ego, and how we can pull past that. What are we going to do in the Bill Cosby aftermath, right? So he wanted to raise money, and I believe only about 10,000 people donated the money towards him. And, you know, our people were making a big fuss after 34 months. We made a big fuss about, you know, what have he done with the money? All that money he got. Well, as we research, unless he have money on the side that he received, we're finding that he received about $403,000. $403,216 to be precise, in 34 months, from about roughly 10,000, we could approximate and round up, roughly 10,300 individuals. I'm assuming they're all African Americans, in a goal which was supposed to reach 4 million. So $4 million, first of all, if I had to criticize the brother or be worried if there was a red flag, I would say that $4 million is not enough to do what he was trying to do. But maybe he was just trying to purchase a building. Who knows how it would go down. But that's not the point. The point is, in America we have about 43 million black people, and we need to talk about the collective mindset. 43 million people who identify as African Americans. Now, we have more than that. Caribbean blacks and other blacks who are proudly black, who would partake in things that African Americans are doing and partake in it as one people, if it's not anything hood, ghetto, or dishonoring. They would gladly participate. They would gladly put their monies in. These people do not identify on the census as African Americans. They identify as black, but most of them do not circle that area because it says /African American. They don't consider themselves part of the ethnic group, but part of the race. We need to understand the difference. So let's say roughly 50 million. 50 million black people, proudly black people, who would love to see the advancement of black people. Now, let's say some are not working. Let's say that some are homeless. Let's say that the others are children, underage. So let's take 25 million. 25 million, if donate $1 each, if each of them donate $1, something that would not hurt any of us listening, it it would be $25 million. That is just in the first gathering. That would be, let's say for a year, that would be the first year. And 2 years, it would be 50 million. 3 years, it would be 75 million. And in 4 years, it would be $100 million. Easy peasy. We're talking about 34 months, right? Look how much money we would have gathered when we worked together. See, the point that I'm making here regarding all this little math and Dr. Umar Johnson and the idea of collecting money and getting it only from our people is collectivity, working together, a collective group effort. We can go to another country and build massive things. And I'm talking about a country that is 90% black and up. Okay, these are the ideas I'm coming up with here. These are the ideas that I'm entertaining. See, I have done it on a very small scale, but that's just me. How about our people? See, when I'm in an all-black country, I walk around and I see cops walking around with guns, and they're a bunch of black men. I'm not worried about getting shot because I'm black. I should worry about getting shot if I do something stupid, but not because I'm black. And they're proud to see me. They're proud to interact with a brother who looks just like them, who's from somewhere else. The idea is collectivity. I'm talking about working together here. Let's say we kick the number up a little higher. Let's say out of 25 million, each of us give $1,000. Let's say you just throw in your income tax money. Screw Christmas this year. Forget Christmas. We don't need it. It hasn't helped our people with anything. We're making our kids happy with toys. What? They're going to live going 1 year without toys. I went many Christmas without toys. Oh, yeah. When my parents couldn't afford it, you just have to deal with it. Play with some rocks and magnets. Make it work. But what's more important, giving your kids toys or building a better future for them? So let's kick it up a notch. Let's say we give $1,000 for 1 year. 25 million of us. Each of us give $1,000. Donation. Getting away from many tax issues because it is donation, right? It is not a business. $1,000 give us $25 billion. Whew, we in the billions now, brothers. Look at the power of our people. I really do believe in our people. I really do love our people. And I know the Negro Ego is going to give me a lot of hate. It's going to bring me a lot of heat talking about the Negro Ego and how this ego of us Negroes get in our way. I know that. Many people will hate me. Many people will tear me up in the comment sections. Like I said, nobody has good ideas, right? People are not coming up with anything. We're just suffering. But the minute one brother come up with an idea, 50 million will stand and try to tear him down. No? So I'm waiting for my 50 million who will come in the comment section and try to tear me down. Right? I understand that. I understand the live stream invitations where you think it's going to be a dialogue and you're just going to get attacked, ambushed. I know. So this is the power of our people. Think about that. See how easily we can make 25 billion. I'm not even talking about 1 billion. I'm talking about 25 billion right here in the States alone. I'm not talking about blacks who are other places who might even want to chip in and make this even greater. Think about our power. Now you say, who would hold this money? Who would do this? We could discuss that another time. What I'm discussing right now is, can we take our Negro ego out of the way in order for us to build something great, something sensational? Imagine going to a third world country with 25 billion US dollars, a dollar that is of higher power, of higher value and appreciation than their currency that they have in that country. That money would multiply immensely, giving you access to land, to water, access to politicians. Oh yeah, buy your politicians. Don't be ashamed of it. Many guys complain about the white Jewish man, right? The so-called Jew, the white Jewish man. Many brothers complain about him, but they work together. They actually follow the Torah, the Bible that most black people don't like. That's what they actually follow. Many of the economic principles of the Torah is what makes them rich, believe it or not. Those books of Moses in the Old Testament that even the black people who so-called are Christians and they say they follow the Bible ignore the Old Testament, where they could actually get really rich from if they understand the principles and the teachings. These so-called white Jewish people, they work together. They go elsewhere. When they get to a country, they always purchase. They love to purchase the governments there. So why not? Why not you, huh? Now let me say this before our inner Negro start fighting over religion. Once again, our inner Negro always have us fighting, and it's not the good type that the brother Negro Ninja talk about. Not that kind. It's the bad kind, right? Let me say this. I'm not talking about they're following the moral principles of the Bible. So before that becomes an argument also. Let's stay focused. Let's look at this real quick, right? The Federal Reserve banks are one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever seen. There is not a man within the sound of my voice who does not know that this nation is run by international bankers. So, speaking of purchasing government, we're talking about purchasing politicians for the good of our people with the money, the power that we bring to some of these other poorer countries, with the power of the U.S. dollar that we're bringing. Countries that the European powers have a harder time mingling within. Okay, let's continue real quick. I know you brothers are busy. I don't want to hold you too long, but this is important for our people. This is just opening dialogue. This is just to get us to think, right? Let's look at this. Our great industrial nation is controlled by its system of credit. Therefore, all of our activities are in the hands of a small group of men who chill and check true economic freedom. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, completely controlled, and dominated governments in the world. No longer a government of the majority, but a government of the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men. Woodrow Wilson. Again, another one. It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Henry Ford. Why am I sharing this with you, brothers? I want you guys to understand something. These warnings were never meant for you or your ancestors. Okay, your parents were never meant. These warnings were not meant for them. They were still getting lynched when most of these quotes were made. This is meant to warn white men that this ship is sinking, but yet we are in the bottom of the totem pole, in the bottom of the hierarchy. We're not even part of the hierarchy, okay? And we are relaxing like it's all good. We need to eliminate all the fighting, all the bickering. If we want to grow on YouTube, we're going to grow by joining brothers. We're going to have live streams with them. We're going to talk with them, and we're going to have classic, understanding conversations that don't always get deterred into talking about how to have sex and catching nuts, all right, which oftentimes happen when brothers start talking. I'm not saying don't crack jokes, but we are in a position where we need to start talking serious. We can't afford to make the mistakes of our forefathers, even though most of them who are still alive, some of the elders, they just blame the newer generation. It's all the millennials' fault, of course. You know, it's the Generation X fault. It's the XY fault. It's the Generation Z's fault. Okay? But they didn't inherit this issue. This issue only started the minute that the younger generation started working and thinking. This is when the problem started. Right? Because the Negro ego cannot look within. The Negro ego does not believe in being introspective. And the Negro ego is not reforming either. We need to eliminate it. We need to stop fighting each other and move forward. The world is beautiful. I would take a page out of the brothers Replicant Fish sayings, and respect to that brother too. When I say the world is yours, the world was taken away from us, but the world is really yours. Our hard-headedness and our ways of being very stiff-necked, stubborn, got us in many of our situations. I'm not saying all, but many. It is wise that we start listening again, that we make our ears real soft, our brains moldable, while keeping our moral center, while keeping the very essence of who we are. But who we are cannot just be stubborn, hard-headed, arrogant people who are unwilling to learn from his brothers and work together with his brothers. We can all lead in our strengths. We can all follow in our weaknesses to become stronger one another. We can follow one another. We can lead one another. We can move arms in arms together as brothers. But we cannot do it if our Negro ego is so high. If you believe what I'm saying is bashing my people, if you're saying that everything that you have heard in this video is bashing my people, then you haven't learned anything, and your Negro ego is probably too high for you to ever learn anything. The Negro Ego keeps us from leaving that very block we grew up in. Brothers will not put any effort to do anything else. The Europeans left their continents and traveled across the seas to places unknown, losing their lives, building empires, conquering, and honestly spreading a whole lot of death. But it has rewarded them plenty. Now, I'm not saying to copy their footsteps, because we're not bringing destruction to anywhere we're going. We're going to bring building, helping our brothers and sisters who may be illiterate where they come from, and teach them how to read, teach them how to build, teach them how to become stronger and better and smarter, while bringing our wealth and getting access to land in a government that is run mainly, if not entirely, by black people.
But we need to get out. We need to travel. We need to do something in the aftermath of Bill Cosby. We can't just sit here, right? We can't just talk, sit here. It gets quiet. We keep eating our chemically induced foods and sucking up our chemtrails and all the crap they put in our food, the poison that's coming out of the media, the programming, they call it, right? That's what they call it, TV programming. Right, exactly. It's a program. They're programming you. We must move. We must give ourselves an option. I'm not saying don't stay in the U.S., but you should have the capability to spend 6 months here and 6 months elsewhere. You have the power of currency, which is why I talk about patriarchies. I talk about countries that are predominantly black because you want to be the majority there. You want to be in a system where men rule. There will be better women there. I've seen it myself. I can vouch for it. Okay, and when it's a poorer place, your dollar that you're bringing with you has more power. So that 25 billion I talked about, for an example, it could be less, right? The 25 billion, if we're going to start a project for ourselves and the people that are there to participate as black people and grow, giving us access to even more power, that 25 billion could easily be like $1 trillion, if not very close to it, going to a poorer location where the currency is not as strong as the US dollar, the euro dollar, the Canadian dollar that we are bringing over. So that's why I said that. Remember, I do everything on the channel for a purpose. It is all a stepping stone. It is all a building block. There are many beautiful places around the world that are black run, and we're not taking advantages. We're too afraid of it. We claim that, it's poor over there. But meanwhile, white supremacy, and I'm not talking about regular white people, I'm really talking about white supremacy, are going to those places and they're building things like this. They're bringing their dollars and they're sleeping with 18-year-old virgin black women that, are being wasted because they're not going to marry them. They're just throwing them to the side. When you could have been there setting up some order, because we bring in a different strength and we can also learn from their culture certain things that we don't have in our culture, certain ways of raising their kids and their daughters, because these people are rich in culture. They are rich in morals. They just may not have the cash that we can bring. We are poor here, black men. We are rich there. And collectively, we are a superpower. All of these are from territories very close to the United States of America. Very close. I'm not even talking about far. You see, we have the power, but we're not using it because we're not working together. No brother want to fly out by himself. But if you hit me up, you hit another famous YouTuber up, we hit a live stream, a few of us come together, guess what? We bring this idea out. I mean, we talking about building our own YouTube. That's a lot harder than actually something like this. Honestly. I mean, you have companies that allow people to create content like minds.com who are complaining about Google not giving them any ratings. And people can't find them on the Google search engine because they're not going through the censorship that Google wants. So creating a black YouTube, I support, but at least a black version of YouTube, I support. But don't think they won't censor it. Don't think they won't make sure it dies out, that no one hears about it. Because this is what they do. Don't be surprised if it just suddenly crashes, because that's how they function. You must understand the hierarchy in which you work. You must understand they don't like you. But if you base this in a different country, if you put this somewhere else, if you build these land, these hotels, these resorts, and you become the millionaires down there, you may not even want to come back, even though you have the option to. Because remember, you're not throwing away your options. So what are we going to do after this aftermath of the Bill Cosby? Now, I will try to make sure I keep shorter videos when it comes to the Negro Ego series that I'm dropping. I will have more collective thoughts. This was just a heart-to-heart, talking to my brothers, my black brothers, you already know. Y'all know I love y'all, so regardless of what I say, there's always love here. But the world is really ours. They just took it away from us. So what are you going to do, my brother? Are you just going to sit here and keep eating your Doritos and drinking juice and taking protein shakes and lifting weights and sitting out here and struggling? Or will you broaden your horizon? Will you do something? You see why everybody laugh at us? Why everyone think we're a joke? White supremacy, black women, they all think we're a joke as black men. Because we talk and do nothing. So let's drop the Negro ego. Let us think collectively. And let us get ready to make something happen now. I'm talking about let's start this year. Okay? And remember, I'm talking about all brothers from all over the place that are part of the African diaspora, children of the transatlantic slave trade, the oppressed people. We can't do this alone. This is why the Negro ego has to go. Now we'll talk about different things in the Negro ego regarding black people. But the Negro ego simply has to go. This is your host and your brother, Mr. Lemba. What are you going to do? I'm out.